And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Chachere, bringing you all the latest news in regards to your Tar Heels. And of course, I'm also the lead beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. We are starting up a new week. Last week, of course, was UNC lost against Cal, but last week is in the past. We are now looking towards the future, and this week will be the 130th edition of the South's oldest rivalry, and then also the day before that, UNC will take on BYU in a preseason exhibition match. That's kind of talk about that more throughout the week, and we'll have all the coverage for that. But it's a huge week for North Carolina athletics. It really is, and a lot of excitement around Chapel Hill. And of course, I'm excited. I think everyone who's on the beat is excited. So it's a great time. Really, like the term is, it is a great day to be a Tar Heel, or a great week to be a Tar Heel. To kind of make it sound more sense. I can't really say it's a great day to be Tar Heel because I did not go to North Carolina. I'm not a fan of North Carolina. I'm a neutral observer of North Carolina. But once again, I'm kind of glad to be an adopted member of the family through covering the Tar Heels. And right now, today is actually my 3-month anniversary living in North Carolina, more specifically the Triangle. So, it's a crazy ride. I just realized that just now, looking at the date, I was like, oh, it's the 21st. And so I moved to North Carolina on the 21st. So really exciting 3 months for me. I want to say it's a new week. What? Because it's Tuesday. Yesterday was Monday. I thought today was Monday for some reason. I don't know why. See, that's what happens, man. Yeah, like you start working, you lose track of days. But anyway, let's get started with, I think, what you guys clicked on the video for, which is the fact that Bill Belichick had his presser today, his weekly presser, and he was in a good mood. Probably because there wasn't a game today and he didn't lose. But he was in a good mood. And he gave a lot of great answers. About the game against Virginia. Actually started off the presser by mentioning the passing of Ricky Lanier. And, of course, he was one of the first black football players to play for North Carolina. Was also the quarterback in North Carolina as well, which, by the way, was extremely rare. Today we see a lot of black quarterbacks, but back then there wasn't a whole lot of black quarterbacks because they were perceived as not smart enough to play the quarterback position, which of course is a bunch of ludicrous, but that's how people thought back then. But it was a good way to start the presser by recognizing his time at North Carolina. He played at North Carolina from in the late 60s, early 70s. And I think he played from 1967 through 1970. He actually set a UNC record with 174 yards rushing in a win over VMI in 1969. He also finished the season going 38 for 70 with 615 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Ran for 131 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he also caught 13 passes for 147 yards in a score. He's also North Carolina's very first scholarship. UNC's very first was he the first scholarship football player? It says I'm reading an article where it says first scholarship, might be the first black scholarship football player, but anyway, yeah, he's Bill Belichick recognized his passing, and of course, sad news, he was 76 years old, but he passed away last week. But Bill Belichick, made time to honor him today and he even apologized for kind of like the late timing of the announcement. But an announcement now is better than ever, considering his legacy at North Carolina, all things considered. But then he started off with that, but then he mentioned a lot about Virginia, and I'll kind of go to what he said. Let me pull up exact quotes because I had to clean it up and everything like that because Bill loves to say and kind of mumbles and blah 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 blah. But then this is what he said about Virginia. they've been on a really impressive string. But going off his actual quotes, they've won a couple of close games in overtime. Close game against Washington State, played really well in some critical situation games, and that's been a difference for them. Coach Tony Elliott, has done an excellent job with the program, and is certainly has certainly some similarities to the Clemson system that he's from, that he got from his time there, and that he's brought to Virginia. They're kind of their own. They develop it to their own Virginia package. I'm not saying it's Clemson, but there are some elements of the Clemson system, especially offensively, with Coach Des Kitchens, and offensive coordinator, and Coach John Brzezinski, who's the defensive coordinator at North Carolina. They have both done an excellent job, and those guys are very sound. They don't turn the ball over, and they haven't had a fumble all year long. Only had a couple interceptions, so the ball security has been really good, and they've made the plays on the defensive side of the ball. He said a lot. He said a lot about Chandler Morris, a lot about Jamari Taylor. He even said Jamari Taylor is an excellent running back, has good vision, great quickness, and can hit from sideline to sideline any play with his vision and ability to jump cut and get into open spaces. So he's very complimentary about Virginia, especially on the offensive side of the ball. He mentioned how they're disruptive on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line is good, but the ends in particular are very disruptive and create negative plays, long yardage situations, big plays, long yardage, and score touchdowns. So you got to do a good job offensively of keeping the negative plays to a minimum and staying out of long yardage against this team. But you mentioned the rivalry. Kind of a rivalry game here with the history of UNC and Virginia. Is a great traditional rivalry. And we're excited for the preparation of the game and look forward to getting on the field today and starting work on them. But it's a good football team that's really capitalized on a lot of opportunities and won a lot of close games. Bill also also gave an update on Ron Hawkins, and that the university has cleared him, and they went through the process with him, and he's back. And somebody actually asked him, because in light of Ron Hawkins being eligible to be on the field and coach the cornerbacks for the Tar Heels, somebody asked Bill Belichick if they've been doing enough education and have been doing enough in terms of educating everybody about all the rules and regulations that the NCAA has, because a lot of this stuff is very confusing when it comes to how the NCAA does the rules and regulations are very weird, and we've known that for a very long time. And you have to have a good understanding of the rules and regulations. You may not understand all of them, but you have to have some semblance or idea so you can stay out of trouble, and the program overall can stay out of trouble. And he says, yes, we've gone through all the compliance courses, whether it be in the recruiting process, time management, the hourly requirements, so forth. I would say, if anything, I feel like maybe we spent too much time on it, to be honest with you. We've gone over and over and over to make sure that we have it right. And every time we check it, hey, just want to triple check and make sure we're okay on this. Yes, right now we're still making sure that we're doing every single thing right. I think that's the right thing to do. Does something come up, or will something come up? I mean, I'm sure it will, probably will. It does in every program, but we're certainly not trying to in any way not take advantage of our compliance people and the people who have more experience with some of the subtler rules or restrictions. He was also asked about, everything from like Saudi Arabia and the book. Like, I think Brian Murphy of WRAL, he asked off the field, he published a book. There was a potential docuseries of Michael Lombardi went to Saudi Arabia. Do you think that some of the stuff has been a detriment to building the program you want to build? And if you could go back, would you eliminate some of those? And he responded with, well, most of what we are talking about are things that happened last year before I even got here. But I would say the things I did in New England in terms of weekly appearances, media, TV shows, radio shows, and other things, we're honestly a lot more than what they are here. So I've been able to dedicate a lot more time watching film, to coaching the players, to being with the players, to being in meetings and actually coaching on the field, because I'm better informed, better prepared, which I really enjoyed that part of it. So most of the things you're talking about, like the book, for example, are all that really happened before I even got here. And It looks like you said about the release of the book, or even when they were promoting the book for the Sunday morning show on CBS. Um, they've been right. He's been doing that book for long before that. It just, of course, it blew up because of the Jordan Hudson situation. I believe it was back in April, but it was in the spring. And somebody also asked him if Gio Lopez had felt the help, about Gio Lopez, and because Gio Lopez after the game that he feels the healthiest since he had the car accident he was in during a few days before the TCU game, and somebody asked him if you've noticed any differences to him, and Belichick responded, "I think that's kind of an internal thing with him. I would say from the outside, he was a pretty tough kid. Whatever aches he had, he was showing them he's a tough kid, played through them, and didn't complain about them. Um, he didn't complain about them. So it's always good to hear players saying that they feel good and they're healthy. But I'd say he competed well for all the time. He's been here and been out on the field, and the fact that he personally feels better is a good thing. But I'd say he played through whatever he had pretty well. And another thing that needs to be addressed, I think, because I actually personally asked him this question. I kind of held on to this question for a pretty long while because they were playing Virginia this week. I wanted to ask him last week when all this stuff was happening, but I think I just felt like it made more sense to ask him this week when they played Virginia, and also when some of that stuff died down, because I think it would give a better answer. But of course, there was originally a report by The Athletic, and something we covered on the site was that Virginia's quarterback, Chandler Morris, who has had a great year for Virginia. It's been a huge reason why they have been as good as they have been. They're the number 16 team in the country. As of right now, they have a firm control over the ACC, and they could look like they could be. They look like they could be in Charlotte for the ACC championship game. And it's all because of Chandler Morris. And Chandler Morris, there's reports that he was very interested in coming to North Carolina. And I actually asked, and that came from the athletic report. And also in that same athletic report, it also mentioned that Michael Lombardi told the rest of the staff that he was going to get Chandler Morris because he had concerns about his height, his throwing ability, and of course, his play style, which the play style, the last thing, honestly makes the most sense, but the other stuff doesn't. And I asked him about this whole situation. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, Michael Lombardi also told the staff, you don't know what it takes to be in the NFL. So there's that. But anyway, Chandler Morris, of course, went to Virginia. His dad was offensive coordinator at Clemson when Tony Elliott was a position coach at Clemson. So they have some connection there. But he ended up going to Virginia. And it turns out Belichick never got into contact with Chandler Morris. And this is what he said. Yeah, I don't really know what the source was on that. We didn't have any contact with Chandler Morris. We spoke to his agent. I don't really know what the source of that was. His agent didn't know anything about it. We didn't know anything about it. Just making up stories. I don't know where that came from. Of course, that didn't come from me. I mentioned that it came from the article from the Athletic. And I admit there was no mouse. I just wanted to get an answer, hear from his side of the story because, of course, I was put out. And Chandler Morris actually vindicated him. Chandler Morris actually earlier today, but later after Belichick's press conference, mentioned that the article essentially was not true. According to let me pull up the tweet because I forgot the guy's name on Twitter. Here we go. Oh, right now. And he tweeted out that UVA quarterback Chandler Morris said he never talked to anybody in North Carolina during his portal recruitment and was surprised when the story came out. He also said that teammate Noah Josie sent it to him during the open date because Morris doesn't have a This is not true. Which honestly kind that's why I'm kind of glad he asked the question, because that was that's something that had been brewing for the last 2 weeks. And of course, it was a part of a major news story. So I'm kind of glad I got that. Kind of glad I asked Belichick that question. And of course, he refuted it. So it gave us something to refute. And not only that, Chandler Morris also backed Belichick on that. Well, not like backed up like, oh, I got your back. No. He said like, okay, that's not true, right? Like, I never contacted UNC and blah blah blah. So it was good that got refuted, because I think it's really one of the few things that got refuted, because a lot of the stuff that was getting reported was true. But this little information that we got from the Athletic isn't true. So I think that's good that Belichick can refute something. And so can the person on the other side. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Grant Chachere, bringing you all the latest news in regards to your Tar Heels. And I'm also the lead beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.